All right, back here on the All-NBA show with Tim Legler. Legs, the other move that happened here, the Los Angeles Lakers have added Marcus Smart to their roster. They obviously need depth. They're in a bit of a compromised position because they really need more guys. Unlike the Clippers, they're the opposite of the Clippers. They don't have guys that can really spell them. They too have old players like LeBron James on their roster. So they add Marcus Smart. He's kind of an interesting player because he's so valuable at certain things, but he's also kind of a tough guy to project, like to fit into every type of lineup. So is this one of the places you expect Marcus Smart to be a good fit? And what does he bring to the Lakers?
Here's why I like him in this situation more than probably even at times in Boston or Memphis. It's because he's not going to have the ball as much, and I like that. I don't necessarily completely trust Marcus Smart with making great decisions all the time. I think sometimes he blows me away with his offensive confidence. And it's a great thing to have. Good for him. I mean, it's good to be confident. There are times I think he got a little bit outside of himself offensively throughout his career and can hurt you. In this situation, he'll have the ball some, but primarily off the ball. And he's not a great three-point shooter. He's streaky. He can get hot from there, help you. His primary goal in this situation is going to be to take pressure off of Luka Doncic defensively. That's the biggest thing that Marcus Smart is going to do. And that is a luxury now for JJ Redick, that he can be more selective with who Luka guards, protect them a little bit more. And it was obvious, they were almost unaware how much they were going to have to protect Luka defensively when they got him. You could see it. Some of the stuff they were doing in games, it was like almost, and even to LeBron James, it was almost like surprising. Like, I knew that he wasn't a great defender. I didn't know we were going to have to go out of our way to this extent and really compromise ourselves with extra traffic running at people that Luka's guarding, and the way your defense will get completely imbalanced because you're worried about Luka getting blown by. So now you have the luxury to have certain lineups out there where you can have more defense on the floor to protect Luka. And Marcus Smart won't be, for the most part, your primary decision maker with a live handle. That's fine. He can slash, he can get on the boards, do all the dirty work, fight for loose balls, be an irritant, guard guys, knock down some occasional threes, but not be that guy that you're relying on for large minutes of the game to make great decisions and great reads and not turn the ball over. That's not going to be something that's going to be a big factor for him. So in a lot of ways, you think about Westbrook, and when he was there and he didn't fit because he needed the ball in his hands to really be effective, and he just looked awkward and out of place all the time in LA. When to slash, when to cut, he would get the ball late in the clock from the three-point line, which was obviously not a good shot for him. So this is, I think, a guy that can fit in with a similar style game in terms of the way he defends and the energy he plays with, all those things, but he'll fit in better offensively with this group, I think, than Westbrook did, and give you more consistent high-level defense against just about anybody. So I like Marcus Smart in this fit and in this situation with the Lakers.
I like it conceptually too, and I think you're right. If you look at their roster, their depth chart, there's not a lot of plus defenders. Even if you just say plus defenders, not Luka, not Austin Reeves, not Rui, DeAndre Ayton, not really. So you don't have any perimeter containment. You don't have a great rim protector. I think LeBron can be a great defender. Is that what you're asking him to do all year? Is like, hey, just focus on your defense? Probably not. Two-way player, so he'll pick his spots. I think Jared Vanderbilt is a good defender. Jake LaRavia, okay. Marcus Smart, to me, then becomes not just because I do think he's a tough player. I think offensively what you said about him was almost charitable about his problem is he's too aggressive sometimes. He tries to step outside the lines. He's not a great shooter. So as a softball player, I think there'll be some issues. But defensively, they don't have anybody else that can guard out on the perimeter like that. And so to me, he almost becomes essential despite the fact that he might be a little bit of a clunky fit on offense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And you're right. Listen, they've done some things offensively. You bring in a DeAndre Ayton, right, improves you defensively. Jake LaRavia actually, I think, is competitive defensively. He's a hustle player. Yeah, he's a smart player. I like him. I like him as a reserve rotational player because he plays really, really hard, and he's so smart. He comes up with instinctive plays that help your team win that you really can't quantify in the box score, but you're not going to label him as certainly a shutdown or a lockdown defender. I think Gabe Vincent was a guy that he was terrible the first half of the year, particularly with his shooting. I mean, he looked like he had lost all confidence, and he was coming back from an injury, and he really struggled. He played better down the stretch, But clearly this is an upgrade if Marcus Smart is healthy. This is a significant upgrade at those backup guard minutes. So I like it, man. I don't know how much I like the Lakers. I want to see them a little bit. They're one of those teams that I just don't think you have any choice but to reserve judgment. Some of these teams I feel comfortable when I'm thinking about Houston, Denver,
Right.
the Clippers. I feel comfortable. Even Minnesota. Like, I kind of know what they are, what they're going to be, what to expect. And, hey, maybe the ceiling's a little higher or maybe the floor's a little lower. You know, that'll play out over time. But I'm pretty comfortable within a certain range who they are. I feel like I don't know what to expect out of the Lakers. I want to see Luka at the start of the year. I want to see what Ayton looks like and how they use him. I want to see what these new guys look like and what they bring. What Marcus Smart brings, what Jake LaRavia brings. So I have a lot of question marks about the Lakers. So I think it's not like you're sitting on the fence. I need to see that product for 20 games at the start of the year and get a better understanding of what all of this really means in terms of the hierarchy in the Western Conference.
And I think the thing about the Lakers is you look at their roster, it's not very deep, and then you start to think about just inevitably through the course of the season, guys come in and out of the lineup. And for me, there's a lot of guys, like if you told me Austin Reeves missed 10 games for something, they're become very thin. If you told us Luka, obviously, even Rui, if he misses a handful of games, your depth just gets so thin. And I think that's one of the big parts of this. And Marcus Smart, if he does have to step into like that high, he's starting and now he's playing all these minutes. I think it helps them. I think it makes their best punch better. But I do wonder if this is a rocky regular season. They won 50 games last year, which is very impressive given the roster and the limitations they had. They won 50 games. I think it's going to be hard for them to repeat that this year just with how thin everything is.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Like I think, some of these teams at the top of the West have gotten better, or they are what they are, which is a champion in the case of the Thunder, and they won 68 games last year. Like, they're not any worse, that's for sure. There's going to be a different offseason for them, so we'll see what their approach is and how it affects them. They're young guys, so you think that they'll be okay, but it's still going to be different. It's just you're a champion now. Just you carry yourself differently, you feel differently. Are they as hungry? Do they want to, put something together here over the next 5-6 years to be one of the all-time great teams? That's what their goal is going to be. I don't know if they're going to be able to live up to that. They're also going to have to make decisions on their role players because they just paid their top 3 guys. So a lot. So you're going to have to plug and play now with some of these other guys that were really important to you. And you don't know always that it's going to fit. But other teams clearly have gotten better. Let's see what's up with the Lakers, man. They're an interesting team to me. I think there's just a lot of questions, Adam, and they're going to answer those questions, I think, pretty early in the year. You're going to have a much better idea of this team's relevance, and a lot of it, to be honest, hinges on what Luka Doncic looks like at the start of the year.
True.
One of the things, Adam, you and I have talked about on here, much as, we've loved Luka, and I particularly have praised Luka when he was in Dallas, and some of the things I said and predicted it for him. One thing that is true, he has not been on a great regular season team. He just hasn't. Like, his teams have not won 58, 60, 62, 65 games. I mean, he hasn't been on one of those teams in the regular season as great as a player as he is. Now, they've made a couple really nice runs when he was in Dallas, got to a final, got to a conference final. But those weren't like elite regular seasons. Like, that's what sets the tone. You want to impress me and make me think the Lakers have a real shot in the West? They come out of the gate 15-5 with Luka setting the tone every night. Like, right out of the gate, play like an MVP. Not where you're like, oh, he's going to ramp it up as he continues to get into shape. That's, to me, what most of this hinges on. Because if he looks like that at the start of the year, some of these other questions we have right now, you and I are discussing about the role players and their roster and how guys fit. I got news for you. Luka Doncic in top form answers a lot of those questions.
So
but
true.
Let's see if he's going to be there at the start. That's a big question for me.
You said the Lakers are interesting to you. I don't think they're that interesting to me, but that question you just said at the end is. Luka Doncic is so great. He's been able to carry teams, to your point, not to great regular season success, 60 wins or anything like that, but he's been very good. But this does feel like the year where all eyes are on him, the condition he comes into. So I find him interesting, even if I don't necessarily
Nên mình sẽ dẫn mọi người móc một viên kẹo xanh nhé. Và ở đây nguyên liệu chuẩn bị có là lên sợi, kéo, ván, kim móc. Và bây giờ mọi người với mình bắt đầu thực hiện nhé. Mọi người sẽ lấy lên cho mình. Và bây giờ mình sẽ thao tác vào đây như sau. Mọi người sẽ tạo ra cho mình một nút thắt. Và rồi mọi người sẽ tạo ra cho mình một ống đỉnh. Và mua vòng này lên từ qua, tạo cho mình một đỉnh. Sau đó là tự tạo cho mình một đỉnh thứ hai. Và mua vòng lên, để lên kéo qua, tạo cho mình một đỉnh thứ ba. Sau đó là tự mình sẽ một đỉnh thứ tư, một đỉnh thứ 5, tạo ra cho mình một đỉnh thứ 6, tạo ra cho mình một đỉnh thứ 7, một đỉnh thứ 8, tạo ra cho mình một đỉnh thứ 9 và một đỉnh thứ 10. Sau đó tiếp cho mình một đỉnh thứ 11, một đỉnh thứ 12, tạo ra cho mình một đỉnh thứ 13 và một đỉnh thứ 14. Tương tự mình sẽ có mũi thứ 15, mũi thứ 16, sau đó tiếp cho mình mũi thứ 17. Ở đây mình sẽ có mũi 18 này, 19, 20, 21 và mũi đỉnh thứ 22. Mọi người sẽ bỏ cho mình cái mũi đầu tiên, móc cho mình bắt đầu từ chân mũi thứ 2 đến hết. Tương ứng vào đó, mỗi mình sẽ là một đơn. Mình sẽ đưa kim này lên kéo qua tạo cho mình một đơn. Đưa kim này lên kéo qua 2 vòng và tiếp cho mình đơn thứ 2. Sau đó tương tự và tiếp cho mình đơn thứ 3. Đưa kim này lên kéo qua tạo cho mình đơn thứ 4. Sau đó tiếp với cho mình đơn thứ 5. Kim để lên qua 2 vòng và cho mình đơn thứ 6. Và thoát tương tự và tiếp cho mình mũi đơn thứ 7. Và tại vị trí này mình sẽ tạo ra cho mình đơn thứ 8. Đưa kim để lên kéo qua. Và thoát tiếp cho mình mũi đơn thứ 10. Và như vậy thì hàng các tác mình mọi người sẽ tiến hành các tiếp và đi cho mình còn lại tiếp. Và tạo vào bên trong một công đơn. Để kia mình lên tạo cho mình một đơn. Tương tự cho mình mũi đơn thứ 2. Ở đây mình sẽ có mũi đơn thứ 3. Để kim này lên kéo qua. Và cái chân mũi cuối cùng của hàng này cũng là tương tự là một đơn. Lên một ổn định. Và quay trở lại và bây giờ mình sẽ thực hiện